Continue from page 107. Now that Unye and his friend Ruto were talking, discussing. Hustler, you are smart. You know how to downplay somebody. I think you'll grow to become a parasite, but as for you, you are smart. You suck to develop. After keeping a secret for a long time and laugh later when truth begins to unfold slowly to the minds of a fool, you become clever. You see, you are clever. I would have known that earlier. Perhaps I would have made myself the billionaire of this world. I would have also established myself multi-billion enterprises and enriched myself, perhaps become the tycoon of this country, because I do have the powers and authority over our treasury. And for me to carry something from the basket, it won't take me a second. I mean, all the instruments of power rest on my shoulder. But anyway, I do have the nation's weight on my heart. That way it will contravene my pledge for the people and also fail to account before God, whom I pledge to respect and observe what is good for the people of this country. I need to actually to deliver the big four agendas first before thinking to enrich myself. That is now Onye remarks before Ruto. Onye took another sip and packed for his secretive talk with his friend. Ruto also claimed, my friend, I tell you, I will continue. My friend, I tell you, you are smart. Is that how you maneuvered through the President Moi under YKK, again pulled it through and Raila to downplay the predecessor, Mr. Kibaki? Here you are, the smart person you left me with princess. You ever thought of a nice suit, well placed in a wall closet, yet rats found it to munch? Yet the feud is but a matter of few days to the wedding day. That's how you got lost with my precious gift for the people of Kenya. Onye took another sip, almost to cry as I still remember huge government funds transferred from the nation treasury to unknown accounts. Some local accounts, others foreign accounts. He continued. You are the same person here. You left Honorable Raila to gang up with me. Always you join a winning team. Anyway, I've heard you also conspire with my Jubilee friends and you want to take over the leadership of this country. You want to rule even before I'm done and even give you my blessings. If you don't mind to double cross me, you got to mind your steps and be slow. Still, I'm here to stay and I'm in full control of this country. Even after I'm gone, I bore a significant figure for the politics of this country. Anyway, let's take our meals, let's forget the past, and we disperse. We shall talk other things later, but it's important that we revisit our friendship. Mr. Uhuru exclaimed after taking a cup of tea in the newly opened doors for the router at Uhuru. That's how the nation began having rich hustlers from our states. Ruto also had his points to put across. My boss, save yourself all the troubles. Ruske, my friend. In politics, we don't have permanent enmity. We jump where there is hope and something to eat, you see? When a child of a royal father, for example, you and your other friend Raila, sleeps in the comfort bed of your fathers, sons of the peasant like us, we do not sleep. The blend of bedbugs in our mattresses, hunger-stricken and thirsty for blood, they feast on our body that we wake up in the middle of the night and the thought wide on ways of surviving. While you do things for charity, we hustlers, we embark on doing things for business, for a profit. As peasants, we also think of feasting on the hard-won freedom we all fought for. We also need to eat and the fruits of independence. Look, for example, my friend Murkomen, a son of a squatter. He fought hard to have his way to the top. Honorable Ruto interjected to make some sense into his boss. He took another sip to water his dry lips and continued the conversation. You see, my boss, ever since immemorial, the presidential race has been between the horses, two horses. But in the near future, our forthcoming year's general election, It will be a contest for the hustler versus the dynasty. Tuko pamoja lakini, my friend, unasikia? Unye got this in his ears, and he also has to reply. I don't get what you're after, my friend. The country belongs to the people. Honorable Unye refused to agree with the words of his friends. Unye contradicted what his friend believed the will of his people for the country, that he was up after enriching himself. We lived in the same universe, with equal days and nights, some breath and energy. That the same sun that shines in your village has also shined in our region. How comes you grow rich overnight with the same piece of look at me, the same piece of wealth my father left to me for years, still intact and will not double even a little. Yet as for you, every day you grow rich. How comes your money grows like grass? Unye had grown nervous with his sitting friend. He remembered the Kiswahili proverb was kikulacho kinguoni mwako. When Ruto will also explain himself. When the sun rises from east, it shines to both the fat and the thin, both the poor and the rich, altogether to the evils and the God-fearing. It does not segregate. We are all Kenyan with equal potential to become rich and famous. Precisely, I'm even equal to the task and ready to take up your presidential seat. Tell me, when was the last drop of a heavenly rain dropped and touched onto your forehead? You see? Tight security around you, call them the presidential escort, will not allow you to mingle and see the blessings of God in the village. You cannot sit with the Wanjikos, the ordinary Kenyan citizens, and get to know the plight of the many Kenyan poor down there in the reserved areas. Yet, they also suffered and sacrificed for the struggle of independence. Again, they left their homesteads and lined up to vote for you. You sit in the State House with a few of your selected individuals, you call them the cabinet, just to feed you with all sorts of false information. They tell you all sorts of lies. Well, you do also think, and you get to think that things on the ground are well. Some of us here come from the village, and still we can sit down and take tea from the kiosk, mingle with our human peasants and cow and pleasants, and even make some business with them. Family Honorable Ruto noted down his long-term quest for presidential seat, beknown to his friend and his boss, Mr. Uhuru, that no matter what it took, he was prepared. Only death would deny him the presidential seat. He wished to dine and celebrate also in the State House. With the memories of the former glory, he longed to make a comeback, live like his friend Uhuru, who had for a long time stayed in the State House, time immemorial that slot was only designated for the royal families. Talk of Ruto taking over his seat ignited fury and made Uhuru feel being downplayed. He never again invited his longtime friend for the State House for his usual warm discussion. He held cabinet meeting alone with the other cabinet secretaries without the presidential deputy. That's when supremacy battle began, a cold war within the politics fought within. Sometimes they call it a friendly war. Once upon a friends, bound by the constitution to work as a coalition within the 5 years, it became necessary to play their cards smart, fight in the bedroom and smile in the dining table, lest the public noted the wrangling husband and wife kicking each other's sidekicks. One could sense a kick of a dying horse whenever Ruto's friendly allies were kicked off the cabinet as well as the parliamentary committees. The two could not smile before the public, shake hands, and show some sense of respect to each other, but one could read between the lines. Everything was not fine. They read from different script, and Robert Ruto had been subjected to humiliation. Ruto as well demonstrated proud and his commitment to run for the top seat and be in the control of the nation's affair. He had just one step ahead, but someone reminded him something many had yearned for that seat but never lived to see or sat on the cozy seat. Never had their buttocks refuted yet, but just one step ahead, but they could not reach on and sit on it. Name them. Honorable Ramogi Oginga Odinga wished for a one day just to sit on, but it never came to pass. Talk of Honorable Joyce Saitoti, a long-serving vice president, also wished but a chance, but it never gave its way. He died before reclaimed his lost glory. He was denied. Honorable Mudavadi made a landmark history to be elected the deputy head boy days after schools had been closed. He became the deputy president 1 month prior to the general election, even after the parliament had been dissolved. Honorable Raila has an history of his own. On several occasions, 3 times, if counted, he was about to sit on the presidential seat, but just to look at behind it, he had been pulled off on his place and placed to another person. He remained crouching for a while before he would gain some energy to stand up again and place himself for another seat. Another position for himself. For instance, he demanded a prime ministerial seat. He asked his supporters to remain calm before he will find another seat to lean on. He had to find another cooking stick, since he will tell us the followers that a breaking of a cooking stick will not stop him to cook more political meals that will make us happy again. He was fond of making our favorite ugali, a delicious food and staple meal for our political country. Many mediators had to come, and to make consensus between the proud confiscators and our humble boy, genuinely won but denied to sit on the seat he deserved. There were more ways to articulate that issue upon to arrive for a peace deal, but many failed. Therefore, many international intermediaries were forced to stream down into a country. They tried their efforts that flopped. Honorable Olusegun Obasanjo, Bishop Desmond Tutu, our mom Grace Machel, and even our brother Benjamin Mkapa from Tanzania, they came, but their efforts will not bear fruits. That's but when we summoned Honorable Kofi Annan to come down to our nation. He found his way down, such a small-bodied person, but Herbert planned in his skull. He had the wisdom, never came with a package of solution, but he came to find solution within us. This is what he said: I have not come with a solution, I have come here that we might find a solution. That was his opening speech before all the Kenyan and the national media. All the journalists paraded before him as he presented his opening speech before the nation. He helped to strike a deal between two political rivals. Honorable Karua was present for the NAC team, and Honorable Ngili was also actually present. He was there in person. The others, like Honorable Kalonzo, Honorable Mudavadi, Wetangula, and Michael Kijana, were present and stood by their leader, Mwai Kibaki. They stood by and watched as the peace deal had been reached and signed between the Pentagon team versus the government. We had a peace restored and a grand coalition government formed. In the subsequent elections again, the same city was pulled off again, and here came Raila. He actually volunteered to make peace and formed a Building Bridges initiative. That is when we found a BBI that took us for the next 5 years before Honorable Uhuru's last term as the president. Kept to him, the son of Orkoyod, had the duty of killing and skinning the bull. He had outgrown such experience from his homeland, in school, working place, and now he will perform the same duty at the highest level. He actually found a job at the State House to do the same job and apply the same skills and prepare something for the rich, powerful in the state government. He also notified his friend Ruto whenever the state process meeting had been prepared and ready to be emerged. Njoroge will be signaled to sneak in and sneak out as well, distributing to his friends and accomplices. Muliro would smell the same sweet aroma from a distance and eat by eyes as others licked their mouth, munching a well-prepared meal to their satisfaction. But as from my friend Muliro, he will watch it from a distance. In Kiswahili they said, kula kwa macho. Keep time with his funny words remain in his mouth that have killed another one. On his hand, he will be handling something a delicious range from grasshopper, wild hare, and this time round, in the State House, he went after the state domestic ships that loitered within the state compound. After all, nobody will have paid their attention to the number of animals within the state compound. Freely they lived and multiplied on their own. But here comes a boy who ran after and killed one by one. He offered the same sweet aroma and roasted in the state house, never minding to balance his diet and add some greens, which were found, for example, kunde, saga, kales, the bush mirrors within the state gardens. But he became a vegetarian. That's when Njoroge will sneak in and come out with enough pieces of meat from the state palace. He ate, licking his lips, while Muriro watched with eyes wide open with hopes to pick something on the ground, perhaps some droplets that will taste to his dry lips. He managed later to put something onto his lips, that which he shared with the dogs, the remnants from the remnants of the documents served at the kennel became also his meal. The ugali Muriro took as early as the ugali that he will take for as early as 4 in his home. That is what will keep him standing all the day until evening before he will come back for supper at home. But for the others, they celebrated in the state house. Yet Muliro will stand by the door watching them. Njoroge grew up with that character even to his old age. He will sneak in with big government projects. He will eat up the big projects and even forget that Muliro and his blood also had a family waiting for something. Or rather, the community behind Muliro also await their national share. And those were our days where corruption began, with Njoroge propagating to some higher levels. The only person that Njoroge feared was Raila, because all the time Raila paid some visit to his long-time friend Uhuru. He had his nostrils smelling something suspicious, and something must have gone amiss. His blood had detective genetics that roamed symbiotically whenever he stirred. Thus, he noticed the deteriorating number of the government flocks in the state house, and he asked his personal detective to be on the watch out. While Raila came out from the state house visit, he carried alongside himself a briefcase full of stones, the stone he will use to scare away his enemies, especially during the Mashemeji Derby, a football game for his brothers, the Luo Gor Mahia team versus the brothers of Muliro, the Luyas, the Ingwe team. Such stones will scare anyone to lose his concentration and fumble to protect his goal from the bunches of the incoming balls. A goalkeeper will let his goal free for Raila rioting team to violate and play within the opponent's goal freely. It was inevitable for his competitor to pave way for him and even offer him and his team a place to sit down and discuss rather than rifle within a strong rioting wind, the tsunami of Honorable Raila. The Moi era, Kibaki era, Uhuru presidential era, it was inevitable to breach the rules of the game and welcomed him and his team under the rifling grounds for a friendly match and have a peace, you know, than, than rival and shed blood nationwide. They sat on the constitution and formulated meantime solution to settle a political disharmony, such like a grand coalition government and the handshake government. It was inevitable to bring back our country onto its course with peace. Raila would attend the football match with his briefcase after he had lunched with his friend Uhuru, his big-time comrade. He preserved his tones against petty mischievous characters like Joroke, and therefore he would simply whistle so that all the other security agents would come, pick up a thief, and deal with him accordingly. That same characters developed in Raila even to these days. He will whistle on big corrupt government cartels and their agents. And those are the days we had the origin of a whistleblower. It began from Raila after suspecting the bulging of Joroke's big stomach, contrary to the jobless nature, jobless nature of which he idled within the Uhuru streets, jobless corner, but dined and paid bills equal to the cabinet secretary in the five-star hotel. Just imagine a jobless man who will handle such a fat pocket and dine with the rich. You need to question the source of his wealth. It became necessary in our nation for the public officials to declare their wealth before taking over any government responsibility. Thereafter, there was need to design a special room for that will host such special honorable criminals, perhaps dangerous characters to the society, who demeans the integrity of our nation. An integrity house was set up for the Kenya ethics and anti-corruption personnel to sit and interrogate honorable thieves. Raila did not consider the plight of his natives in Bondo. He lived in the comforts of the city lives and carried himself a briefcase of stones. Such was the behavior of many Luo natives who forgot their native home and fancy city lives. They will meet at the. You can get to know this when you meet them at the bus stage as they prepare for the December festivities. That is the one once they want to travel back to their village. Someone with the whole of his household items, luxurious and expensive for that matter, packed, and there you'll find him traveling down to the village. Omera, sisi naenda Ocha. Man, we are going to the village, up country. That's Honorable Nyongo spotted as he made his move through the country bus stage. Uhuru carried a briefcase of coins that he inherited from his father, Kenyatta. Raila will spend there his days in the city while Uhuru sat discussing charter ways with his villagers way back in the Katundu village. He actually therefore distributed some coins to his villagers and asked them to embark on micro enterprises. That is then up to date. Most of his blood began and continued to chase after coins. They felt the sweetness of coins at their palms and got used to it, so as to date they are so busy every day chasing after more coins. Some had established with big business companies. Those small coins had actually multiplied into millions and billions. They had become backbones to our economy, and such they control the current economy of our country. Ask my friend Chris Kirobi and SK Macharia. They understood very well the sweetness of our small beginnings. Joroge had sharp eyes and ears that will see a drop in the ocean and had secrets before anyone else, especially whenever they discussed in the state palace. He noticed all government projects at bay and notified his allies to appetize for something being cooked. His characters were similar to that of Mafuabi, the born child of Jebet. Although the boy, although the boy lived in a homestead without his blood, especially that Jebet had volunteered enough to test waters with Kamau, that blood belonged to the Kamau or my father. It became a question and a big dilemma that only Jebet would have unraveled the big secret between the two. One must have hit the, the embryo, while the other helped in fertilizing the growth. The broad ears and the nose that touched the upper lips of the shapeless mouth resembled Kamau. That straight, strong limbs measured an exact length to that of my father. Mafuavi as well, with his keen ears, observed and saw the big pieces of Hatete idle farm. He wished and failed to confiscate part of it, regardless that it will raise an uproar for family disputes. He overheard private discussion between Hatete and Father Francis, while Hatete gave his will to our Father Francis, perhaps wishing that the whole of his land would be donated for the construction of a school and be named after him. The five, such a cunning boy, went ahead to the contrary to the wishes of the deceased. He occupied all for himself and even sold part of it to buy himself a luxurious motorcade. He named it after our clan and called it Namsonke Express. Thanks to God, my ears had been upright to understand precedes. He was still alive, and I knew Hatete's mind before he succumbed. He told told me part of his mind's premonitions for a possible inevitable ends. That prompted me and the like-minded people to revitalize the need for the society. Together with the Father Francis, we actually forcibly came down and marketed a piece of it for the construction of a school. We had a security personnel from all corners came over to help. We asked the police officer, the askaris from the Kimaiti and the Bungoma stations, deployed under the command of Shadrach Londo, the new chief inspector of police, a young police graduate actually I met personally while he underwent his drills at Kiganjo training school. My own auntie had befriended him and will occasionally made his way to Kiganjo. She would luckily visit the inspector at Kiganjo, and there I also had an opportunity to observe the tough tactics our service boys and girls will train to combat the overgrown crimes in our society. At Kiganjo, that's where we met him, our elder, our chief inspector, also doing and his exercise. He actually became very important at that very particular point in time when Mafabi will not give and listen to our cries. He actually gave a deaf ear to the cry of the social need and even denied his fellow siblings a share of what did not belong to him, an egocentric person. He had a coronavirus to his thinking capacity. As I watched his flu-like symptoms, I reported to the nearest police station and quickly they whisked him into the quarantine and for interrogations. Our clan elder championed the cause, offered his patronage for the good cause. Mr. Masika Justus hailed from the Chiliba, slightly above the north of Chiliba Market. While standing from the Rosina Junction, his homestead was just a mile above from the junction. There in the south, you will find Helera, a market in the south, while in the west you will be heading to Madibo. As you come from east, there is a market by the name Lunao. That's where one of our elite person, Mr. Justus, actually he made undeniable sacrifices to enlighten natives and made immeasurable contributions towards new development. Ideas, factual and precise points to the demands of our new times. We named the school after Hatete and scribbled a beautiful synonym of Hatete High School on a flat billboard, initializing the new project on the ground. I learned later that the reserved like Yasindi and his group advocated the change of the school name from Hatete School to Mianga School. I wish they would have known the zeal behind the establishment of that school. If they had such a communal development interest, they ought to have also contributed a portion of their land for the construction of more classrooms, because the inhabitant had already filled up the classes, perhaps with the small available field. The number of children were growing big every day. We wanted the name of our hero Hatete to remain in the minds of generations to generations and celebrate on for years. Our hero, the Abasonge hero, and share his minds with the nation in our annual anniversaries. I bet you won't miss to be part and participate in that day as we commemorate our book. Your reservations, you need to book your reservation early, a seat for yourself, because the ground will be packed to the full. And that's how I began some developments in my village. We had actually asked Madam Kifina, a newly recruited teacher on practice from the university, to take through our students slowly. Some of them had just come from the grazing land. They were slow learners. Others had abandoned their goods in the market just to come and attend some lessons and at least be participant of the conversation for the news that had spread all around the village. A new school had been established, and most of them had families already, a responsibility on their shoulder. Therefore, a special consideration for them ought to have been considered as we assimilated them to the new modern life, that is the education life. Secondly, my second project came for Andelala Factory. That is after Honorable Elijah Mwangale had diffused with our donations from our big boy Moi, who had actually awarded him a tender to construct for the factory that will uplift the livelihood of our peasant farmers. I took upon myself to start the new foundation from the dilapidated foundation and revitalize their dead dreams. With enough resilience in our village, we will add value to our subsistence farmers. We had sorghum, millet, cassava, and soybean that will feed an entire nation and sustain any food reserves for a whole year. That's after an alternative cash crop to our sugarcane, a perfect solution for the food security in the entire nation. And the Lala factory had been placed right at the station on your way from Yanga to Lonao. Talk of Mwangale, nobody had the voice of command from Western as compared to him. That is during Honorable Moi presidential area. While I walked on my way on my village, a heated debate was taking place in the capital center. Any black found in Karen must have been working for the white. Our capital center accommodated few knowledgeable boys and girls, those who had made it from the various parts of the country, the pride and the learned. That caused me to think of a college for my native back in the village. Perhaps we will get more boys learned from a region and also strengthen our bargaining power. A boy like Konange had his father working for the white press. A man like Oginga had managed a small cottage for himself. He sold pieces of fishes for the white, while his wife brought enough omena for the Kenyatta market in the middle of the capital center. Once Oginga sold a fish, he will pay all his bills. The other boys had it found some job. A boy like Mboya worked in an office. He had secured a white-collar job and proved himself worth. A boy like Kibaki also dressed smartly every day to work in the office. Kenyatta was an office messenger for some good time. He had worked for the Whites. He had a small bicycle to ride on round the town as he delivered letters for the White at different destinations. He was liked so much for the European masters. He dressed smart on counter suits and delivered timely messages. He knew well their offices and would not fail on his task upon given assignment, and thus he carried and earned a total trust. Whites entrusted him that doors were left open, and Kenyatta popped in anyhow, just to find them red-handed, naked, perhaps confessing the secret of the land Kenya. At times he found them chatting bedroom matters, secret with few papers covering only their vital places. The wise also liked him because he was conversant with their towns countrywide, and eye of the national was at his palms. Kenyatta became more such popular even to the local black elites. He was bright, would read the minds of his white masters than all the other comrades with black minds.